All right, let's just dive right into this explainer and tackle a pervasive anxiety that so many of us are feeling today. We're talking about the future of the American dream. Is it actually slipping away from us, or is it just evolving? Well, let's find out.
It is a super heavy, daunting question. Is the American dream dead? Are younger generations literally destined to have fewer opportunities than their parents did? Look, it's a very real modern fear. We hear it in coffee shops, we read it in headlines every single day. We look at the crazy rising cost of living and wonder if the promise of building a better life than the generation before us is quietly fading into history. But before we just assume the absolute worst, we need to pivot and look at historical reality. We need to see if the dream is disappearing or if it's just changing shape. And to do that, we really have to understand where this concept actually came from in the first place.
So what's completely fascinating is that the original 1931 definition, which was coined by historian James Truslow Adams right in the middle of the Great Depression, wasn't about white picket fences or immense untethered wealth at all, not even a little bit. It was fundamentally about the opportunity for every single person to achieve their fullest potential. It was about relying on talent and effort rather than inherited privilege. It was a promise of possibility and equal opportunity. It definitely wasn't a guarantee of a specific lifestyle or a certain amount of money in your bank account.
And history proves that the dream has never been a fixed destination. It's an ever-evolving journey. I mean, think about it. For pioneers in the 1800s, it meant land and agricultural independence. By the 1900s, the Industrial Revolution shifted that dream to factories, urban growth, and industrial jobs. Then the 1950s brought the massive rise of the suburbs. And today, in the 2000s, we exist in a deeply interconnected digital and global era. The definition of opportunity literally rewrites itself with every single generation.
But right here is where our modern anxiety actually originates, that post-World War II golden age. We all know the image, right? A single full-time income that could support a whole household, a nice suburban home, and a perfectly secure 40-year career with a single employer. Coming out of the Second World War, the U.S. experienced massive economic expansion, which made this highly specific version of the dream incredibly accessible. But here's the catch. Because it was so culturally dominant, the classic sitcom family, this specific era became the rigid benchmark that later generations unfairly measure themselves against today.
And that 1950s model is absolutely colliding head-on with today's economy. It's creating incredible pressure for younger generations who are just trying to afford basic milestones. Home prices in a lot of regions have climbed to historic highs, driven by soaring demand and limited supply. A college education, well, that used to be a straightforward ticket to the middle class, but now it often comes with significant long-term debt. Add in rising healthcare and childcare costs, alongside wage growth that frequently struggles to keep pace with inflation, and you can see exactly why that 1950s benchmark feels mathematically impossible for so many right now.
Which brings us to a difficult but absolutely necessary question. When rent, education, and healthcare vastly outpace our ability to save, is the traditional formula of just working hard sufficient anymore? For decades, the formula was super simple. Put your head down, do the work, and you will achieve financial stability. Boom! But today, a lot of young adults are finding that even with immense ambition and grueling hours, traditional milestones remain stubbornly out of reach. The math has simply changed. To understand why the rules of the game have changed so drastically, we have to look at how global supply chains and digital technology have completely shattered the old paradigms of what employers actually need. In the late 20th and early 21st centuries, the economy violently shifted from physical manufacturing to services, finance, and information. Globalization completely rewrote the map, meaning companies could suddenly access international talent and markets, which massively increased competition. Practically overnight, success required highly specialized technical skills and advanced education, which completely altered the traditional pathways to prosperity.
And sitting at the absolute cutting edge of this massive shift is artificial intelligence. Now, it is incredibly easy to view AI purely as a threat to jobs. We hear that all the time. But looking at the data, it's framed entirely differently. AI isn't just a disruptor, it is the modern equivalent of the steam engine or electricity. It's a wildly powerful new tool for unprecedented opportunity.
It's shifting human work away from predictable routine tasks and moving us toward human-AI collaboration, creative problem-solving, and complex analysis.
But thriving in this new landscape requires a totally new playbook. A single degree just won't last a lifetime anymore. Continuous adaptability? That's the new currency of success. First off, lifelong learning is absolutely non-negotiable. Skills have to be updated frequently. Second, we really have to combine our technical tools with uniquely human traits, things like empathy, ethical judgment, and creativity. Those are things that machines simply cannot replicate. And finally, we need to embrace entrepreneurship and remote flexibility. I mean, the digital economy means you can literally build a global business right from your living room.
Because this massive shift away from factory floors is actually giving rise to entirely new, globally connected industries that previous generations could scarcely even imagine. We are seeing explosive growth in renewable energy and sustainable infrastructure as we tackle climate change head-on. We have globalized digital commerce, advanced cybersecurity, the entirely new field of AI ethics, and a massive boom in content creation, online education. These are the incredible new frontiers where the American dream is currently being built.
Because of all this, there is a massive psychological shift happening right now. The modern dream is no longer a fixed destination to reach, but an ongoing, dynamic process of reinvention. The generations entering the workforce today completely understand that they might have 3, 4, or even 5 entirely different careers over their lifetime. They aren't looking for a dusty, decades-old roadmap. They are learning to navigate constant, rapid change. And they're actually finding profound opportunity within the uncertainty itself.
So the dream isn't dying. It is simply synthesizing into a 21st century model that prioritizes flexibility, resilience, and purpose. Think about the old dream, the absolute expectation of loyalty to one single employer, a house in the suburbs, and viewing success as a final destination you eventually arrive at. Now contrast that with the new dream, a dream that fiercely values remote flexibility, multiple income streams, continuous adaptation, and a much better balance between meaningful work and personal life. It's a completely different and honestly, arguably much healthier metric for a successful life. Look, if there's one key takeaway you get from this explainer, let it be this. While the milestones of success look wildly different today than they did 70 years ago, the true core of the American dream has always been our ability to adapt and begin again. Whether it was immigrants crossing oceans, pioneers moving west, or today's digital workers mastering artificial intelligence, the defining characteristic of this dream isn't a specific standard of living. It's resilience. It is the unshakable belief that through learning and innovation, we can shape our own futures. So I want to leave you with this. How will you define and adapt your own dream in this rapidly changing world? Will you just measure yourself against the benchmarks of the past, or will you embrace lifelong learning, remote flexibility, and the incredible new industries being born right now? The future of the dream isn't something we just inherit, it is something we actively create. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Now go out there and redefine exactly what success looks like for you.